California Congressman Devin Nunes, ranking Republican on the House Intelligence Committee. Great to have you on set this morning, Congressman.
Great to be with you.
First off, it seems now the investigations are coming. What are we supposed to think as we look on and see this happening?
You mean the investigation is changing, developing, right? So we've been investigating collusion and obstruction. Clearly, they've left that far behind. They've already written off Mueller. And I don't know where this Mueller stuff's coming from. Everybody keeps saying Mueller's going to wrap up this week. I mean, other than like CNN reporting that, I don't know where they're getting this information from. So we don't know if Mueller's really wrapping up or not. But clearly the Democrats they've left collusion, they've left any collusion with the Russians, and now they're on to going through all of the president's businesses, is what it appears.
Let me stop you on Saturday at CPAC. Here's how the president addressed that, okay? Just listen to this clip here from Washington.
Unfortunately, you put the wrong people in a couple of positions, and they leave people for a long time that shouldn't be there, and all of a sudden, they're trying to take you out with okay? Now, Robert Mueller never received a vote, and neither did the person that appointed him.
I asked you if you were watching that on Saturday. That's the first time you saw that.
Yeah, I had not seen that clip yet. I've only seen clips of the speech. It was 2 hours. It's a long time.
But you did see Michael Cohen on Wednesday of last week.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, you took him behind closed doors. Short of telling us what happened there, because I know you would not give that up, how would you characterize your meeting on Thursday and contrast that with what the public saw the day before?
Well, but you bring up an important point. Why can't I talk about this? I can't talk about this because we held this meeting with Cohen behind closed doors, a man who has no security clearance. We're the House Intelligence Committee. We have no reason to interview Cohen any longer, and if we are going to interview Cohen, then his testimony should be released. So what you saw on Wednesday, the circus that you saw with members going over 5 minutes, essentially what we did behind closed doors is we had John Ratcliffe, who's a very good attorney, former U.S. attorney, congressman from Texas. He took up most of our time and went through point by point through the dossier to ensure that Cohen's testimony was still the same from a year and a half ago when he first testified.
Was it?
It was, yes. Other than the places that he lied, which he's already pled guilty for.
2 quick points on that. Will we see the written testimony?
Well, we should see it immediately. This guy doesn't have anything that's classified. So, I can't control that any longer. But right now, it's being, hid behind closed doors. We're going to interview him again this week.
Okay, so I'm going to get more on that in just a second. But as far as the Mueller report, are you suggesting that you have some sort of information that will not be released this week?
I just don't know. I think it's hard to believe if you look at the person that broke that story originally. That reporter has ties to Fusion GPS. Why would Bill Barr come in and say right away start leaking to CNN? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know where they're picking this up that Mueller's almost done. I mean, Mueller should have been done over a year ago because there is no evidence of collusion, and this has gone on far too long. But I just don't know. I mean, it could be this week. It could be next month. It could be next year.
Did you find any holes in Cohen's testimony? Was he telling the truth last week?
Well, a guy who's been convicted for lying to Congress, you can never believe. But specifically what we're interested in is, were you in Prague? Is there anything in the dossier that is true? Because the dossier is really
Why do you keep coming back to that? Just so our viewers understand, why is the dossier at the heart of what you believe is this investigation?
Because it's the only evidence that we ever had was the dossier, and it was phony. So the dossier, for the viewers to know, the dossier is the dirt that was paid for by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party that was fed into the FBI. It was fed to reporters, it was tweeted out by the campaign, and it was fed into the FBI, and it's the origins of this entire investigation. There is no other evidence other than that dossier.
All right, so you get Michael Cohen again this week. What do you ask him?
We don't really have anything more to ask him. We got through most of ours. We don't even know why he's coming back. I mean, he had already testified a year and a half ago. We wanted to make sure that everything, that we verified everything, that he hadn't changed his story about the involvement in the dossier, right? So he's denied any involvement, anything that's in the dossier. He has said that that's not true. There was no truth to the dossier, and that was our main objective.
How often is it that when a person is sentenced, in this case on December 12th, I believe, you don't report to prison until 5 months later?
I don't know what's going on there. And the fact that, he kind of pretends like he's...
What's your hunch?
I think he's being used as a political prop by the Democrats, right? I mean, because he was the president's longtime personal attorney, so they can march him out there, and he's saying really nasty things about the president, so it looks good on television. But the fact of the matter is that Cohen has no evidence of collusion, no evidence of obstruction of justice.
The idea of impeachment. Chris Wallace asked Congresswoman Dingell about that yesterday, and here was the response.
Where are you on impeachment now? More importantly, where is the House Democratic leadership? Is that off the table?
I think that we're waiting for the facts. I've always said that. And I do not think an impeachment should ever be a partisan event.
Just want to get your response to that.
Well, look, impeachment, we have the power to impeach in Congress. If there's something to impeach this president for, then we could impeach him. But I don't know what possibly they have to impeach him on, being that we've spent over 2 years looking for something that we just don't have. It's just elusive, right? There is no evidence of the Trump campaign colluding with Russians. And the fact of the matter is, the only direct evidence that we have of collusion with Russians is the Clinton campaign colluding with Russians.
Here's a tweet from yesterday. On Sunday, President Trump saying this: presidential harassment by crazed Democrats at the highest level in the history of our country. Likewise, the most vicious and corrupt mainstream media that any president's ever had to endure. Yet the most successful first 2 years for any president. We are winning big, the envy of the world, but just think what it could be. End tweet. What is the calculation of your Democratic colleagues now? Do you go all in on impeachment? Do you push for that? Is that what the American people are looking for? Do you believe voters want them to draw blood on this, or do you have to set an agenda that can be voted on in 2020?
It appears to me like they are going full bore into all of Trump's businesses, and they're asking for documents. There's a new document request. And then as that continues to roll out, they're going to comb through those, and I think they're hoping to find some evidence of some wrongdoing.
But they say they have evidence. Adam Schiff says they have direct evidence. What?
Yeah.
Why not say what that is?
We haven't seen it. I mean, he claims it all the time.
James Comey is where the collusion is.
Well, how does that have anything to do with? I mean, the president can fire James Comey. I mean, he was the FBI director. He had every right to fire him. The Democrats wanted him fired.
Newt Gingrich an hour ago said he miscalculated 20 years ago with Bill Clinton, and Republicans paid a price for it.
And shouldn't have impeached.
Do you think about that now?
Well, I wasn't there then, but I think it probably was a mistake at that time. And look, for Newt Gingrich to say it, I mean, he was the man in charge then. And so, if the Democrats move forward with impeachment, I'd like to know what exactly they are what evidence they have to impeach, right? Because all of these investigations have really been an investigation in search of a crime. Right? Like the dossier was phony from the beginning. It was unverified. They started with that. And then now that that's been totally disproven, there is no evidence that anything in the dossier was true other than Russia is actually a country. And now they're moving on from that, they're just making wild accusations, like just claiming, oh, well, yes, we know that there was direct evidence. Well, just because you say it doesn't make it so. I mean, you have to actually have some evidence. You can't just say you have evidence.
Just final thoughts. Based on our conversation right now and the way you're explaining the new Congress and the situation that is today, what are the implications for 2020?
Well, it's hard to know what's going to happen next year, but I would say this, that the Democratic Party for sure has moved extreme left. And the new people within the Democratic Party, and I'm not talking about just the people that are on television all the time. If you look at a lot of the new members, these aren't conservative Democrats. These are very far left. I would stop short of saying socialist, but they're getting close to being socialist. And so that's really moved the party to the left. So I think it's going to be a very fascinating election year over the next
Hope you can come back. Thank you for your time
Yeah,
today.
thanks for having me here.
Devin Nunes,
great to be in studio.
from California. More to come.